Welcome back to the Daily Hunt. I'm Henry. I am a swing trader, investor, and I have this daily show where I explain to you guys my analysis and break down my thoughts on the markets. I'm also in the top 15 in the US Investing Championship, so I know a thing or two about the markets right now, and especially stocks. So the main thing I'll cover today is the crypto market and how it's performing. I feel like it's lagging behind the rest of the market, especially the stock market. And there are certain levels that have been broken yesterday, which are crucial for crypto. We're also going to be covering the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and some of my other picks within those two indices that have performed well and some that aren't performing well. New ideas will also be shared, so there'll be some insights there with new ideas and opportunities that I'm looking at, and also how I'm managing my portfolio for the US Investing Championship, where I'm sitting at the moment at around 65% returns for the year to date. So a lot of things to cover and different insights that I'll be talking about. So let's get right into it. I'll share my screen and we'll start with the crypto market. Okay, so here you have the Bitcoin charts, and you're going to be seeing the weekly here. However, I want to start with the daily. So we'll start with the daily chart, where we stand and what's happened. Throughout the last 2 weeks, I've been mentioning this trend line. So this ascending trend line has been the key to holding price action and potentially seeing the move all the way up to 120 or even to 130 if we had a nice pump and a nice move higher here with a trend in crypto. That's exactly what I was looking for. And I've also mentioned in those videos that if it breaks back into the channel and under this trend line, we are going bearish. That's what happened on Monday morning, yesterday morning here in Asia. It broke below. I exited my long position with just in a small profit. And now it's looking like it's holding support around previous support and resistance levels, which are around this 114 to 111 level. So when I'm looking at this, what I'm seeing is it could potentially be a small dip before we move up higher, or it could be a completely flushed out move where we move all the way down to 105 or 106 for the double bottom, or this move here on the weekly. Personally, I think once we've started this move here, it seems like unless there's some key news event coming out related to crypto that's going to be positive and showing us signs that there'll be momentum kicking in, it looks to me like we continue to operate within this wedge, within this descending channel, which is also a bull flag as we consolidate for then a weekly move after we find support here on this monthly and weekly support and resistance level. So we'll up personally, I'm looking at the 100 level as the key level where investors, all types of traders and investors will come in, whether that's going to be position traders, swing traders, day traders, scalpers. Everybody will like the price around 100 for the reason that I've given here, which is it's a monthly and a weekly level support, previous level here, psychological level, many factors, and also it cheapens the price for long-term investors where they can go, if I buy at 100, it can go up to 150, I've made 50%. And that's a good enticing price and opportunity for everybody. And then on the RSI, we've had a break here and we're showing signs that we could go all the way down to to under 30. We also have support on many occasions around this 38.40 level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an alert for this level if it crosses down to watch that level for potential bounce Okay, that bounce, in my opinion, would be price coming all the way down to 107, 106, and then we bounce and we move up higher. So again, we still have that scenario for double bottom there. It's looking pretty good for us if we're long-term investors. If you're looking to short here, the short-in opportunity was a break of the trend line. I personally didn't short because I think there's plenty of support coming in with the kind of state of the market. Yes, we could go to 100. I could have made maybe 15% on that move, but it just wasn't very appealing to me. My appeal here is whether we can get this 100 trade and then ride it all up to 150 and then potentially a trigger in the alt season that everybody's been waiting for. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. Another reason I think it's better to cover Bitcoin dominance now. Another reason why we saw this happening is we had a move above 59 here yesterday, 58, and I think this could go all the way down to 60. All the way up to 60, and that could bring, like I said, the market a little bit lower. We had plenty of signs here and time to make these decisions. As I've discussed in previous videos, I mentioned that we had a bullish divergence multiple times. I mentioned that the problem is this moves higher so Bitcoin dominance moves higher, and that will drag the rest of the market down. I mentioned all of these in multiple videos in the last 2 weeks to be able to inform you guys of this potential sell-off. Now, it's not the end of the world, and I think this is the thing that you have to consider here. For altcoins, it's not the end, especially for Ethereum. If you're looking at it, we could find support around this 4K level. It's a very, very good support level around this level, and we could bounce and move up higher. For me, after breaking this wedge, so yeah, for me, I think we can move all the way down to 3.7K, and that would be a nice support level. If we're looking at the weekly, you guys will see that there is the 20 EMA level there that usually finds support, but also it'll be a nice level to bounce off, which could hit around this 50 zone on the RSI on the weekly. Now, of course, we haven't had any dip for a while, and this was needed. Again, could bounce on the 10, could bounce on the 20 on the weekly. We have to see and wait. For me, when I look at Ethereum and Bitcoin, when we have these sell-off days of around 5 to 10%, it's really rare that we get an instant bounce and then a move up higher. So we usually get the market consolidating, maybe trickling up a little bit and then moving it a little bit lower, and then finding support somewhere on the way down, where it creates maybe a lower low on price and then a bullish divergence, or we get a key zone being tested on the RSI, like under 30. These will be the kind of levels I'm looking at. But there's multiple levels. I'll give you the levels here. If we do go short, we have this 4K level here, which we are right now, around 4.14K. We have 3.8, 3.7 level. Could go as low as 3.65. That's what I've been looking at. So it could go as low as around here. And then we have 3.2. So those are the levels for me. Depends on the speed of the sell-off. Depends on the fear that kicks into the markets. These are things that we have to monitor and be very cautious about. At the moment, I am all cash in crypto for this reason. I don't like Ethereum. I don't like Bitcoin. I think the rest of the market would be dragged out. I had a bit of AVAX here, which is performing pretty well, and EIGEN. But I sold that off because I did not want to hold anything with the state of Bitcoin and Ethereum being in this situation. AVAX has been doing pretty well here and it bounced instantly. So maybe a fast sell-off for me, but I did sell off around this 33, 32 level. So I'm happy with that sell-off. and I think even if it moves up higher, I can still get in on this. I didn't end up buying it yesterday, which is probably a shame. But again, I didn't want to hold any crypto going into overnight or anything like that. I just felt like it was too risky for me to hold AVAX and some other ones. But with Ethereum, it's the key. I think it's the key, and it has been the key since April. We've traded all these moves up higher here, and we ended up trading this one and breaking even. So we bought around 4.4k, and we sold around 4.4 something as well. So it was maybe a slight loss, break even trade for me around here. And now we look for another opportunity. Like I said, it could consolidate and then bounce here, and then we have those levels under. Okay, so that's crypto. I don't want to dwell too much on crypto. I think crypto is moving a little bit slower. Unless I see clear signs that the whole market will move up higher, then I won't be buying. Again, I need the momentum. I need the support levels first, and then the momentum to kick in. And at the moment, it's not there, and I don't want to rush anything with crypto, because I think if we go to 100 and if we go to 3.7k, we have a very, very nice foundation there to bounce and move up higher. Okay, crypto done. We've spoken about these key levels and why it's selling off and everything else. Now I want to go into the S&P 500. I want to be speaking about S&P, NASDAQ, Russell, and then I want to talk about the VIX, which I think kind of triggered yesterday a bit of a sell-off in crypto with the Dixie. So the Dixie was one of my signs as to why I would sell as well with crypto. But we'll talk about the Dixie later. S&P 500 keeps grinding up higher. We have now hit my level, or my desired level, of 6.7k. The next level on this is 6.77, 6.8. I always felt, after seeing the channel here developing, that we could easily go to around 6.8k on this trending move, just because of where the channel positioning is. That is the overextension level that I see in this. And then if we go to this other chart that I have, which has my mean reversion zones and key overextension zones, I see it around that level. So we'll go here. As you can see, that overextension zone is here. And then on the weekly, we have to look at the weekly levels. We are just loading here, a bit slow. Again, I think we are around those levels that we need to be for the weekly. Just need to wait for the chart to load up. There you go. So on the weekly, there you can see the 6.8 level. So maybe we go to that overextension zone. 7k, I think it struggles just because it's had this V-shaped recovery, and I think it's due a bit of a correction. And by correction, I mean a 5 to 10% move. So it could go easily down to the 6.2, 6.3k. But closer to the time, I'll be sharing my thoughts on where it will go. At the moment, all I'm seeing is strength. So I don't want to say that we're going to go short from here. I think we can still continue. And it's looking pretty good for the markets. And this is the reason why I've made around 25% just in September. And in the last 2 weeks in particular as well, since around the 7th or 8th of September, we had the bounce around this level. And then we managed to position ourselves in some key trades in my Discord group. So with the NASDAQ, we also have this nice move here on the channel. We're looking at 25.1 as overextension zone. We pierced through my overextension zone from December, January, early in the year, and now we're moving into these new higher highs territory, and we have the NASDAQ as well on the daily, piercing through that level. And then we have on the weekly, just identify here, 25.8. So you can go up as high as 26 on this move for the overextension. And of course, if we do get an extreme overextension, like in July, or like this level here, we can go 26 and even as high as 27. I just don't see that happening, but I'm not going to make decisions just yet when we're seeing just green every week and every day in the markets. We're seeing this trendy move here. I'm just going to ride this wave as much as I can with my portfolio and buy some new opportunities that I think will do well. Okay, so that's the NASDAQ, the Russell. We'll talk about the Russell here on the other chart. So I wouldn't make any rash decisions here. I wouldn't exit, and I'm not exiting out of positions. I'm just scaling out a little bit just because I was over leveraged and overweighted in a few positions. So that's part of portfolio management and risk management. I try to scale out of a few positions, lock in some profits, and ensure that I keep the profits as much as I can, even if we get a little bit of a dip. So the Russell is breaking this level, which is, I think, an all-time high, if I'm not mistaken. Just have to check, because I think we had an all-time high in 2021. Yeah, we now are at all-time highs with the Russell. So interest rates are going to be good for small caps. I don't know how good Trump's policies on visas are going to be for tech and growth stocks, because I think growth stocks need talent. They probably don't have the finances to be able to outbid and pay for those visas versus Google and some of these other larger tech companies. So yeah, that's a bit of a problem, I think. And we'll see. I think Russell moves up higher, and then on the weekly, I think it's very important we watch the weekly here. Where will this end? And when I look at the Russell in terms of where the trends usually end, is when it does a bit of a higher high on the RSI, similar to March 2021, where we can get this overextension here, maybe a little bit of a consolidation, another ride up to around 2.6K, which is what I have as a target here if I was going to buy the Russell. And yeah, so it's looking like 2.6 maybe on the overextension on the Russell. And if we go on this chart as well, I'm sure we have a similar level of around, okay, this one's a little bit higher. So there might be some really good upside potential in this small cap Russell 2000 indices. So we might have to check some of these opportunities. I think this is where I'll be prioritizing maybe for the next stage of my portfolio as we scale out of our current portfolio. The VIX is very important. And I have mentioned that we are now in kind of a consolidation zone before some high volatility comes in or extreme greed and comes into the market. So we are testing this 16 level quite a few times now, and we're seeing this kind of leaning towards a sell-off in the market and volatility to increase. However, we're also testing the 14 level, and I think sub 14 we go into extreme greed in the markets, and then we get that final move up higher. So we just have to monitor that situation. For me personally, I don't want to make any rash decisions based on the VIX, but I am monitoring the VIX potentially to scale out a little bit more than what I am right now. So right now I'm selling maybe, I've sold around 10 to 20% in some of my key positions to lock in profits. If I'm going to scale another 20%, I would have to see some weakness in the markets. And the weakness trigger could be the VIX above the 16 level again. And the strength signal would be the VIX sub 15 again. So we had this one here as well. That's what I'm monitoring for my decision making and scaling out my portfolio. We can always buy up and buy again, but locking in profits is very, very important. If you made a decent profit in September, like I said, I've made around 25% just in September, 65% overall for the year for this year to date since January, and we're doing pretty well in the US Investing Championship. Okay, so that's the VIX. Now I want to talk about the Dixie, and I think the last section I will be talking about some of my ideas as well as the overall broader market. And the key question will be, do we have lower interest rates with recession, or do we have lowered interest rates without a recession? That's really the question right now in the markets. I think if we have a recession, we will be sold off very, very heavily in the next 18 months in the markets, and it'll be brutal. I don't see it just yet, but I am taking precautions and I'm monitoring some fundamentals and some historical data. Okay, so let's get to the Dixie and commodities. So Dixie commodities, and we will be talking about Okay, so trigger for a sell-off in crypto was the Dixie going above 97 here. That was a key point for me where I thought maybe now we need to sell off, and then shortly after we saw a significant drop in altcoins around 5 to 10%, and we saw Bitcoin, I think, fall around 1 or 2%. So the key area is, again, this 97.7, 98 level. If we break above, we will have a strengthening dollar and a weakening crypto market, but also potentially sell-offs in the S&P 500. So we have to monitor that carefully with the VIX as well. Personally, I think it's due a rise here. We have a bullish divergence on the weekly. So there is very, very strong signs as to why we would get a move to around 98, maybe even 100 on the Dixie, with the dollar strengthening. So we have to monitor that very, very carefully. And for me, like I said, could happen very, very soon. Worth the watch. Monitor the zones, the alerts, add them in just in case. Gold keeps moving up higher. Makes sense. We had sell-offs in riskier plays like crypto, and I think gold continues to this upper band on the channel, which is 3.8K. 3.7 was my target. We achieved that. But 3.8 seems the overextension zone. And again, if we go to the gold chart on this, we will see where is the overextension zone, where we are. We are now insanely overextended with gold on the weekly, and I've had to go and look at the monthly, and we're still overextended. So it's basically performing in a way that is not within the norm. So what that would mean is if it sells off, it will sell off quite heavily, but it's not unlikely for gold to perform like this for extended period of time, as it did here in 2025, 2026, and then going into 2009 as well. So there's a lot of talk about we're in a cycle similar to 1998, which basically means that if we're looking at gold, this would have been the period 1998, no extension that we're seeing right now. It's very, very similar. And then we had a consolidation zone going into the next 2 years before we had gold rising due to the crash in the market in 2008. So potentially we're having a similar scenario here We know that the Chinese central bank, and some other central banks are buying gold, and it's just making the price increase pretty much every day. And even if there's a consolidation, it's almost guaranteed that it's going to go up higher. So as we saw here on the daily during this consolidation level. So gold has been very, very good as a long-term investment, and it keeps on moving up higher. We've seen it probably, don't even know how much it's gained in the last 2 years, since 2023. Yeah, there you go. 2023, we've seen a gain from 1.7K to 3.7K, which is almost 200% in 2 years. So that's quite a lot for a commodity. Silver as well, doing pretty well here, lagging a little bit compared to gold, but moving well. Again, I can't really provide any thoughts on what you could trade on these, other than at the moment they're moving to those resistance levels. My thoughts were that above 3.3, 3.4, which I shared on the channel, we were going to get that trigger point to move up to 3.7K. Now we're overextending beyond that, and we're waiting maybe for a bit of a sell-off and a consolidation. Okay, so the other commodity that I've been monitoring very carefully has been US oil and natural gas. So US oil, I'm looking at the consolidation zone here for support. I would like to see support and then a move like this, right? So maybe we even get a little bit of a dip, put in some shorts, and then a move like this. We get some trigger points here where we get momentum kicking in, and then we move up higher. And that would be good for us to scale into and go into US oil stocks like Oxy and a few other ones. Natural gas continues its consolidation. I think natural gas is looking to retest maybe this trend line or this zone. But I think that this has huge potential for a move up higher because of seasonality and also the demand for natural gas for data centers. It's crucial as a solution for data centers. And then when we look at energy stocks, uranium has been a big play. I didn't position myself in heavily in uranium. Unfortunately, I ended up buying the slowest mover, which was CCJ, Camco. But we've been buying the moves since April, so we have profited from uranium stocks plenty, like Oklo in the Discord group, which it's a shame again, like I said, for us not to enter here because of the risk reward being super nice, and we would have probably made a 1 to 10 on this one, but we've traded and we're looking for nuclear opportunities as well. Energy will do well, and I think natural gas as well. That's the reason why I added here uranium. Other ones that are worth monitoring were, I think, nickel supporting, was finding support extensively here, and I think maybe could do a breakout on the weekly or monthly levels. As you can see here, nice consolidation on the weekly, and I think we can move to around 16,000 on nickel very, very soon. Okay, so I think that's it for me for today. I think tomorrow I'll talk about some of the fundamentals and answer that key question, which is, will we have interest rates reduced while we have a recession, or will it be interest rates will be reduced and we'll have no recession? That's really what we're looking at here, and what I'm assessing every day. I'm looking at housing, I'm looking construction as well, with the data there, what's happening with that, and a number of other factors. If you want to see the information I share with my Discord group, you can go and join the Discord group by clicking the link in the description of this video. You can also follow us on other social medias, but I also recommend that you subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell as well so you don't miss any of the videos. Like I said, I'll be sharing videos nearly every day. We'll provide market analysis and insights like this,